The die of fate had been cast. Reporting to a public agency, which we'd been warned could instead result in something far worse for Sadako if we didn't have the evidence first. Just like that. Had I failed? Had I let my emotions get the better of me in that moment? Maybe I should have stayed silent and left everything to Mion, since she had been relatively calm. Oh yeah, the last thing that happened was that they told Chie-sensei about what's going on with Sadako and her uncle, and she like reported it to the school board. And Keiichi was wildin'. Keiichi was on one. I remembered the punishment game where we had to badmouth Curry, and how me saying anything would have made it worse, and Sadako told us to leave the talking to her. Maybe it was the same thing here. I was impulsive, so maybe I should have just shut up and looked at the floor. But it was too late to lament it. The die I had thrown wouldn't be coming back into my hands. All we could do was pray for something good to happen. Keiichi-kun, you did everything you could. So, leave it to the teachers now. Okay? Everything I could. If I really gave it everything I had, if I had really struggled, I would have dragged Sadako out of her home last night and hidden her in some abandoned house. I didn't, so that means I didn't do everything I could. Stop thinking about it, alright? You're being a little too persistent, Keiichi-kun. At this rate, you'll collapse. Just leave me alone. I left her with those words and stared lazily up at the ceiling. I wondered if I'd really got Chie-sensei to understand. Would the public agency intervene and solve everything within the day? Would they acknowledge the abuse and guarantee her safety? After lunch break, our afternoon classes were mostly self-study. The teacher came back to the classroom occasionally, but then the phone in the lounge would ring and she'd have a long conversation with the caller. Everyone in class got the feeling they knew what those phone calls were about. Sensei came trotting back from the classroom. I'm really sorry for all the phone calls recently. Let's call it a day. President, please lead the class. Everybody stand up. It looked to me like Sensei had been wearing a dark expression ever since the lunch break. It wasn't a very relieving expression. It wouldn't be. Even if Sensei 100% understood the situation and passionately explained it to the other person. At the end, the Child Consultation Center, as a public agency, would be the ones to decide whether to get her to safety. Sensei understood that as well as us, and that's why she looks so unreliable right now. Kei-chan, let's go home. I don't think anyone feels like having the club today. Mi-chan, it's no fun if someone's not here. Reno was right. It was no fun for us if someone was missing. If the teacher's expression had shown more promise, then maybe we could have gone home more comfortably. Have they ever had club with one person missing so far in the story? Like in any of the loops? I actually don't think they have. But I couldn't let myself feel relieved. I couldn't be naive and tell myself all I can do is pray now that the die have been cast. Just in case they didn't get her to safety and decided to wait and see again, I'd need to take further measures. Yo, what's up, Salamandrake? Welcome, welcome. It's going good so far. We just started up. We've already asked the people who could do something official already. Then, there was one more place that was worth asking for help. She might laugh it off, or I might be right, and I could be endangering my own life. But I'd try. Oh, Mion, is it okay if I stop by your place today? You've got a lot of manga, right? I want to borrow a bunch of them. Oh, Keiichi. Huh? Sure, I guess. There was an ominous meaning behind my words, so Mion realized what I really meant right away. I wanted to talk about something alone. That's what I meant. Mi-chan, Keiichi-kun, let's go home. Rena already had her shoes on and was waving to us from the schoolyard. Mion's house was gigantic in every way imaginable. The house itself was a vaguely old-fashioned traditional Japanese house, but the yard, I guess, or their plot of land, was enormous. It easily convinced me that they really were major landowners, with Hinamizawa under their thumb. Mion brought me through the guest room and a servant brought us some tea. Wow, you really are rich, huh? You've even got housekeepers? Grandma and I are the only ones who live here. I wouldn't be able to do everything myself. The servant left, telling us it was 5 o'clock, then withdrew with soft footsteps. Would you happen to have a huge torture dungeon anywhere in the backyard? We have people come in to take care of Grandma and clean 2 or 3 times a week. They come in rotations of 3 or 4, so there's someone here almost every day. Only until evening, though. Oh, and if we're having a party or something where we need more help, we call up different people. If you had the money to hire all these people, then just take Sadako in. Oh my god, if you do not vocalize that, Rena's gonna RKO you out of nowhere. I glared at her as I thought that, and Mion seemed to catch on immediately. Oh, sorry. It's fine. I know it's not a money problem. Just to be clear, my family may be rich, but it's not money that I can just use freely for myself, okay? I don't want you to misunderstand that. It kind of looked like I was bullying her. Mion had been apologizing to me a lot lately. Was Mion the sort of person who would do that this much? Maybe it's just that I've been looking so grim lately. So, what's up? You had something to talk about, right? I have something pretty serious to discuss, Mion. This will be sudden, and you might be surprised, but I want you to hear me out. Huh? What? Oh, I'll give you a way out first. Even if what I say is true, you don't need to admit it. You're allowed to play dumb. But I want you to listen until the end. I have something to say to the next leader of what's still the most important of the 3 families of Onigafuchi village, Sonozaki Mion. Oh, Keiichi-kun. That is so many ellipses. At first, Mion looked like she had no idea what I was saying, but at hearing the whole sentence and putting it together, she reacted. Where did you hear that? It doesn't really matter. I definitely couldn't tell her who told me. Takano-san, you told me not to, but please forgive me. This was why I asked you about it after all. I was surprised just that you'd heard of Onigafuchi village, Kei-chan. But you seem to know a lot of things, both true and false, about me, too. Yeah, true and false. I really might just have the wrong impression here. But I'm okay with that, so listen. And if it really is true... I don't know what you're getting at, Kei-chan, but let me say this beforehand. You've got a big misunderstanding. So if it were possible, I wouldn't want to hear what you're about to say. Because even if you said it, I can't do anything to help you. Still, if talking about it will lighten your burden even a little, I'll listen. I'm only just going to listen. Nothing more will happen. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Mion seemed to know what kind of thing I'd be talking about. She warned me that doing so would be fruitless. That much was obvious. If what I was going to say was true, then the Sonozaki family would be the masterminds behind the string of freak deaths that had been occurring every year in Hinamizawa. You know that stuff about Oyashiro-sama's curse, right? Mion nodded a little. No one knows what it is or why it happens. Even if each incident is solved, the string of deaths and accidents as a whole is still a mystery. But there's one thing connecting them all, and that's how the targets are always enemies of the village. Seems like it. Mion spoke as if it didn't relate to her. That was fine. She didn't have to admit it. For now, I just wanted her to stay quiet and listen to me. The day after tomorrow, it's Wada Nagashi, isn't it? Has the sacrifice for this year's curse been decided already? Mion didn't answer. Her expression remained the same, too. Like she said, she was just quietly listening. Sorry. The promise was that you'd just listen, so it's weird for me to ask a question, huh? Mion gave me a look she'd never given me before. A faraway look, a sympathetic one. She didn't nod, she just smiled faintly and listened to me. If this year's curse isn't going to be on Sadako's uncle, then please change it to him. I mean, last year it was her aunt, right? So in the right order, it wouldn't be weird. You're right. It seems like there's an order. I mean, after her aunt died to the curse last year, he abandoned Sadako and fled into the town for a whole year. Why wouldn't a guy like that definitely be next on Oyashiro-sama's list? There shouldn't be any issue with choosing him for this year. I see. If he were to die from the curse this year, no one would see anything unusual about it. I heard that Oyashiro-sama's curse is, well, no matter how I looked at it, I wasn't sure whether I should continue. No matter how I tried, the words wouldn't come out. The string of freak deaths in Hinamizawa, also called Oyashiro-sama's curse. You're saying that there are incidents perpetrated by the village, carried out by the three families at the Sonozaki's instructions. Is that it? I don't care one bit whether you have anything to do with it. I'm just saying, if you have any way of communicating with whoever decides the targets of the curse, then I just want you to tell them to choose Sadako's uncle. Please. Everything you've been saying has been terrible. If the freak death incidents in Hinamizawa were carried out by the will of the Sonozaki family, that would mean the main culprit would be me, wouldn't it? I would have chosen the target of the curse, given the instructions, killed many people, and gotten rid of others. You're calling me a murderer, Kei-chan. God, Mion's such a fucking G. I didn't say that. Didn't you listen to me? I don't care whether you're the one behind the murders or not. I just don't. Even if you were the culprit, it doesn't change the fact that you're my friend. It doesn't matter at all. If the police were chasing you, I'd come to help. I'd make you an alibi and even help you escape. Because we're friends and comrades, aren't we? Yo, welcome back, Iris. Ah, that sounds good. Mion looked surprised for a while. She was dumbfounded. Now you're declaring yourself complicit? Kei-chan, that's pretty bold of you. Come on, don't interrupt. Sadako's uncle. Choose him for... Stop right there, Kei-chan. I want to start on dinner soon, so I'd like to leave things at this. Mion! I then realized that my cheeks were wet with tears. They slid down my chin and fell, drip drop, to the tatami mat. It's like I said at the start. You've got a big misunderstanding. Oishiro-sama's curse is just that. Even if there were people behind those incidents, they don't have anything to do with the Sonozaki family, or me either. Right. I understand that, it's just... It was touching to hear such a desperate plea, Kei-chan, but that was all it was. Even if I wanted to help, I can't. You understand that too, right? Yeah. But now I know how you feel so well, it hurts. If I really were, like you said, the one controlling the three families and choosing the sacrifices every year, I'd probably grant your wish. Mion. But the reality is different. I'm just Sonozaki Mion. My family may be the subject of all sorts of bad rumors about controlling Hinamizawa from the shadows. But we have nothing to do with the freak death incidents. We may have been a little extreme during the dam war, but that's all. We would never do something so insane as to kill people. Don't say such sad things. Right now, at least, I don't care. Why can't you just be nice and lie to me? Wow, that's a new one. Kei-chan, you're free to believe what you like. If I lied to you now, you'd be convinced Sadako would be freed the night after tomorrow, and you'd be able to shed much of your burden. However, reality is harsh. Sadako's uncle will survive beyond that day. You'd still be alive next week, and the next week after that. You need to prepare yourself for that. I don't want you coming to me the day after Watanagashi and demanding to know why he wasn't killed. Mion. Mion stood up slowly and closed the sliding door to keep out the wind that had grown chilly. Was it Mio-san? Did she give you all those ideas? She really likes to misunderstand things about Hinamizawa. Well, we can let her have her fun. But I don't really want her influencing you, Kei-chan. Jeez. This is why outsiders are no good. Takano-san has nothing to do with it. Right. Don't worry. Even though I know she told you about it, Kei-chan, nothing's going to happen. It's not like Mio-san will be chosen for this year's curse. Besides, we don't even know for sure if the curse will happen this year. Maybe it was all just a pile of unfortunate coincidences. Thanks for listening. If you aren't connected to the serial deaths at all, then this must have been an uncomfortable conversation. I'll apologize for it. I see. You'll apologize for it. Mion said she didn't have much time, but she still brought me to the gate. She said she had a meeting or something today about Sunday's Watanagashi festival, so there would be a lot of people from the town council and the festival committee coming. Despite her day being so busy, she still listened to what I had to say. We don't know if the curse will happen this year, huh? I mean, who's to say? If there's a God in heaven, then he probably understands how strongly you feel. Yeah. I'm really sorry for being so weird today. You can pretend like this discussion never happened if you want. Okay. I'll forget about it. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I had really only spent a short time with Mion. Talking to her made me think. It was clear that what Takano said had told me, at least, wasn't a complete fabrication. If Mion was really unconnected to the incidents, then she probably wouldn't have listened to me so quietly. She heard me out until I was done without making any quips, and I wanted to think that was proof. I did kind of feel like I was grasping at straws. Of course, thinking back on it, it was a terrible thing to discuss. I mean, I went to my friend's house, called her a serial murderer, then told her to kill Sadako's uncle. I was the only one talking that whole time. Mion quietly listened to everything I had to say like a pastor listening to a confession. She could have gotten angry partway through, told me off, and to go wash my face in miso soup and come back later. Hey, it's that weird shit she said in book 2. But she didn't. Was that proof that Mion's family, the Sonozaki, were the masterminds? Or was she just listening because she felt sorry for me going kind of crazy? I didn't know which it was, but it was the one effort I could make at the moment. It was another form of insurance. Should worse come to worse and the public agency decide to wait and see. It was a completely useless resistance, literally grasping at straws. Sensei said that if she reported it to the Child Consultation Center, they'd have to respond on the same day. Would they already be in the middle of responding to it now? If Sadako came to school tomorrow morning all energetic, then everything would just be a needless fear. Why couldn't tomorrow come faster? That night was unusually hot and humid, and I couldn't get to sleep. I said all that to Sensei. They couldn't possibly decide to wait and see again this year. Sadako, what was it like for her tonight? Had she tasted the end of her nightmare, enjoying a night of liberation? I actually put my hands together and prayed into my futon. The curse and the Onikakushi get conflated a lot, but I think the difference might matter. It might. I mean, that seems to I guess it does matter, because if the curse is a man-made phenomena, then one person getting killed and one person getting disappeared, I guess it does matter, because the disappeared person, we don't know if they're dead or not. But if the curse is a curse, then whether or not they vanish from this plane of existence or get killed, it doesn't seem to matter that much. Hard to say. Good morning, Cage Kid. Good morning. Thank goodness. I thought you overslept today, too. Your mom said you'd gone on ahead yesterday and that you weren't at school. I was worried you had gotten heat stroke halfway there. Yeah. I'm very sorry for all the worry I caused you yesterday. Hey, good morning. Mi-chan, good morning. Wow, you really stink of liquor. You'll get found out for sure. Oh, right. Wasn't there a big business meeting with all the people on the town council yesterday? They only called it that. It was more like a party. We have the festival every year, right? We wouldn't have any annoying meetings at this point. Are you gonna help out with the festival this afternoon, then? Yep. I have to do a meet and greet with all sorts of people in Grandma's place. Besides, they already started setting up for the festival. Rena did say you'll get caught instead of you shouldn't be underage drinking, because Ren is a fucking G. She's a ride or die. Our morning conversation was lighthearted as usual. It looked like Mion had thankfully forgotten about how I'd barged into her talk yesterday with that crazy talk. I say barged into her talk? Barged into her house. The more I think back on it, I felt like I'd really said something terrible to her. Yeah, bro. I was really thoughtless, and it wouldn't have been weird if she'd yelled at me. It was highly possible Takano-san had exaggerated her story. To think that our comrade and friend, Mion, the young leader of the Sonozakis, one of the 3 families effectively controlling Hinamizawa, was pulling the strings behind the serial death incidents, was a little unbelievable. But if there was even a 1% chance that it was true, then what I said yesterday to Mion might have been a success. Yes, it was no more than 1 in 100. But that little bit of effort might have brought the chances of saving Sadako up by even a tiny bit. At least I'd made that effort. After yesterday ended, I was sure I'd done everything I possibly could. If there was something else I could do, it was probably just to clap my hands and pray that Sadako's uncle would be killed by the curse. I hope Sadako makes it today. Me too. Sensei is doing things for her, right? I'm sure it'll be fine. My aunt is a welfare agent in the Hinamizawa district. I gave her a call last night. Huh. I didn't know your aunt was a welfare officer. What happened? Did you tell her about Sadako-chan? Yep. Chie-sensei called the child consultation center right after we talked to her. A child welfare officer apparently visited before the night was over. My aunt said they were going to pay visits at regular intervals from now on. Thank you for the posture check and the hydrate, Sarge. Yo, Crimson. Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you for the 19 months. I really, really appreciate it. Enough with the dumb little stuff. I want to know what happened to Sadako. Did they get her safe? My aunt wasn't that informed about it. I was supposed to keep this a secret anyway. Her telling me was a big breach of ethics in the first place. Damn, that makes me feel even worse. Let's get to school. Right. Discussing this more would just make us feel worse. It was far quicker to go to school and see if Sadako was safe or not. The three of us nodded and ran off. Was Sadako safe? What measures had the Child Consultation Center taken? I didn't care what. As long as we could go back to our peaceful life with Sadako today, it didn't matter to me. At the shoe racks at the entrance, Rena took a peek in Sadako's shoe cubby. Ah, Sadako's shoes are here. They're here. Kei-chan, Sadako came. Thank goodness. We don't know if anything happened just because she came to school. Can't know anything until we see her face. We trotted towards the classroom. The classroom was lively, as it usually was in the morning. Sadako, where are you? Me. She's right here. It's too early in the morning to be so loud. Would you please keep it down a bit? Sadako-chan, are you okay? All of our friends crowded around Sadako excitedly. A probation officer came, right? How did it go? Who was it that called them? I swear, it was quite a mess, you know. It was the teacher. You were absent for so long, of course she was worried. Sadako said, "I told you I'm fine," under her breath. She was still trying to overcome all the suffering on her own. It was a big bother to both me and my uncle. That person just barged in on us suddenly. Jeez. Everyone was worried about you, Sadako. Don't say it was a bother. Ah, jeez. Anyway, what happened? Oh, wait, that's Keiichi. What happened? Nothing happened. My cold got better, so I came back to school. That's all. I can't take too much time off now, because then you'll all worry about me. What was Sadako saying? What happened to, well, your uncle? Oh, he admitted there were some misunderstandings, and we both apologized. Ugh. Rika-chan grabbed the back of my collar and pulled me away. What is it, Rika-chan? Rika-chan silently dragged me all the way to the hallway. Rika-chan, what did that mean? Sadako said nothing was happening and chased them away. That idiot! But why? No, somewhere in my mind, I thought it might turn out like this. Sadako didn't ask for anyone's help. She didn't hide behind anyone. She was trying to ride out this pain. She wanted to show Satoshi proof that if he came back to them, she wouldn't need to hide behind him anymore. But Coach said probation officers can bring her to safety in an emergency even if it's against her wishes. However much Sadako denies the abuse, it's a fact. Chie-sensei finally came. Her expression was far from cheerful. Yes, you're right, Maibara-kun. If the child welfare officer determines it's an emergency, they have the right to immediately take them to safety, regardless of the affected party's intent. Then why? Why is Sadako's intent being respected so much? It's weird. Why don't they put her into safety? Well, after the person in charge at the Child Consultation Center looked into it from many angles, they determined... What the hell is that? Sensei, didn't you say it was going to be alright since you definitely saved her? What's the meaning of this? This doesn't make any sense. Answer me, damn it. Keiichi. This is actually the third time someone has reported Sadako's child abuse. It happened twice in the past, too. God, that sucks! Furude-san. Sensei tried to stop her, but Rika-chan went on speaking anyway. Twice before? I heard they decided to wait and see after reporting it in the winter before last. But it happened before then, too? Sadako's father, who died, wasn't her real father. What? Rika-chan, that's... what? I'm stunned at the sudden revelation. I had no idea what Rika-chan wanted to tell me, but it seemed really important, so I couldn't get a word in either. Sadako's mother remarried. She brought Sadako and Satoshi with her, so they weren't related by blood to their father. Satoshi was a good kid, one who listened politely to what adults told him. He immediately welcomed their new father and was loved, but Sadako was different. She was rebellious, she told lies, she played pranks. Her stepfather didn't like her at all. What? So, what do you mean? Even before she was given to their uncle and his wife, Sadako didn't have a very good relationship with her family. Of course, her stepfather didn't have any malicious intent at the start. At first, he must have worked hard to get his new daughter to accept him. But the young Sadako didn't make any effort at all toward that end. She was distant towards her stepfather, and never opened her heart to him even a little. She was like 7, 6, I don't know. She just got on his nerves all the time, with seemingly forced lies and pranks. Her father's discipline and punishment must have been loving at first, of course, but that too faded quickly. I don't know because I wasn't in Hinamizawa at the time, but I learned this on the phone yesterday. What story did you hear, Sensei? That Sadako-chan wanted to trick her parents, especially her stepfather, so she inflicted wounds on herself so she could make up a false story about abuse, and that she sent out an SOS herself. Now that is really unfortunate that happened. She was like 5 or 6, but that's unfortunate. She made up a story about hurting herself? Sadako made a fake phone call to try and get rid of the father she hated. Child welfare officers rushed there and heard the story. Her father genuinely apologized for a few times when he had gone too far, and agreed to let the Child Welfare Center give him coaching. Related agencies looked into it quite a bit. They determined that Sadako-chan and her stepfather's hearts not being quite matched up was the cause of the incident. But they found another problem above that with Sadako-chan. A problem with Sadako? What was it? Sadako's mother. There were a few times where she had lived with de facto husbands, though those relationships didn't result in remarriage. From a young age, Sadako had been forced to call at least 2 or 3 people her father. At some point, Sadako's pranks escalated. She would spill food on purpose, turn over her plate, and even throw it. She would break the windows in the neighborhood and shoplift candy. She would put thumbtacks everywhere and set other traps to seriously hurt people. Not in the way she did now, just to get laughs. She was also fond of telling lies that would be found out right away. People got mad at her every time. But she never ever changed her behavior. Please don't think Sadako-chan was a problem child. Sadako-chan was young. It was an act of self-defense that she had to take against the unknown men her mother had chosen. In regards to Sadako's problematic behavior, child psychology experts from public institutions indicated her actions were to draw her mother's attention to herself. They acknowledged she had a form of harmful emotional trauma, and declared she needed counseling and therapy from professionals. They didn't know whether that therapy had healed the wounds in her heart. Sadako-chan purposely hurt herself and told them she was being abused by her stepfather in an attempt to chase him out. But, in the end, her stepfather did abuse her, right? No. All of the abuse had been made up by Sadako-chan. Her stepfather, of course, may have scolded her in a somewhat emotional way, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. Sadako had lied to chase away her stepfather, and they saw through her right away and found out that Sadako had issues. Oh, could it be that's why the winter before last, they decided to wait and see? I feel like this would have been relevant information yesterday. Yeah. It's like, obviously no one wants to talk about this, but at this point Rika was like, I have to tell Keiichi. Rika's like, none of these adults or older kids are gonna tell Keiichi, so I, the 9-year-old, needs to do it. Yes. The Child Consultation Center had all their past records, so they needed to act carefully in case Sadako was lying. What the hell? So what? Sadako might be telling a lie, so they needed to be careful. So, how does that mean they just end up waiting and seeing? It was the girl who cried wolf. The fable about telling a lie once, making others unwilling to believe you later. That's bullshit. The past has nothing to do with this, does it? Only what's really happening right now is important. Sadako is being abused by her uncle. Why is something that happened in the past getting in the way of helping her now? Neither Sensei nor Rika-chan had anything to say to that. Anyway, yesterday, a probation officer visited to carefully determine what was going on. And Sadako dealt with them, but on the best, strongest smile she could imagine and denied the abuse. Of course, she was probably being threatened to keep quiet about it by her uncle. Sadako was trying to outlast everything without asking for help. Sadako wanted to wait for Satoshi to come back home. And she outright denied the truth of the abuse. What an idiot. But you're not really enduring it. Do you really think pretending like this will actually bring Satoshi back? Just stop it already. Satoshi, he abandoned you. And the fact that he hasn't shown up to save you now is proof, isn't it? So just stop it. Please stop being weird and pretending to endure it. Forget everything we just said. Understand? If you tell anyone else, your teacher will be very mad with you. Chie-sensei gave me a warning then left to go back to the teacher's lounge. Keiichi, please don't think Sadako is a pathetic, pitiful girl. She's living life. I know that. She's our irreplaceable friend. Sadako is still trying her best. Let's watch over her a little longer. The person from the consultation center said they'd periodically visit from now on. If something terrible happens, they'll help her right away. Yeah, but only after it happens. No, Lilybat, you're right. Chie-sensei is like... Any more than that would have sounded like I was picking a fight with this 9-year-old girl, so I firmly swallowed my next words and went back to the classroom. Keishi's passion and anger is very understandable, but he needs to stop taking it out on his 4 to 5 best friends. Mion and Rena were talking to Sadako like they always did. It was a silly conversation. A humorous, even fun one, like it was any old day. If Sadako really said she could endure it, then maybe I should do as Rika-chan said and watch over her. Maybe whatever help I offer will just go unwanted. Higurashi, when they cry. Yeah, maybe Keiichi should pick up baseball. Get some of that energy out. Yo, what's up, Barrow? Good morning. You didn't miss too much. We just found out that, unfortunately, when Sadako was very young, she made a false claim of abuse about her stepfather, which is why it's so hard for them to get child consultation services to take it seriously now. So that's what you missed. Everything sucks. Yeah. Okay, why don't we all have lunch? Me. It's been a while since it's been all 5 of us. This really is how it has to be. You're here. Come on, you too, Kei-chan. Bring your desk over. Keiji would be so angry when his units melt down in Darkest Dungeon and then melt down with them. Oh, he so would. Sadako brought her own desk over as well, grinning broadly. Even knowing nothing had been resolved, this exchange was pleasant and made me remember how fun it used to be. I can't have Rika making a bento for me forever. I don't mind. I have fun making your bento. Rika-chan's such a good girl. Having such a good friend must be so reassuring. I put in the big steak, and Sadako puts in the burnt stuff. So if it was just Sadako, it would be so sad. So very sad. Nipa. I take it back. Well, she's Rika-chan after all. She's like, I got you, girl. I know you can't cook for shit. Hey, come on, look. I've got omelet rice today. Mushrooms and stuff are delicious. Delicious. Oh. I say it every time, but your craftsmanship is splendid. You could become a wife whenever and not have a problem. A wife. A wife. Holy shit. Rena! We know what Rena desires in life. Rena, holy shit. Eating a wife. Wow. Yeah, baby, eating a wife. Let's go, Rena, baby. Sadaka was like, you could be a wife. And Rena was like, a wife? A wife? A wife? I could go for a wife right now. I could devour a wife. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, no, Rena, no one knows what the fuck you mean. Using the word wife is totally forbidden around Rena. Please don't say it again. You can't mention Oyashira-sama, curse, or wife. I'll think about what I've done. A little. By the way, what's in your lunch, Mia? It looks different again today. We're all waiting in anticipation. It's a rich assortment of side dishes left over from what my uncle brought last night. The stew looks really great, huh? The color of the radishes, too. Really good, right? Wow, it looks delicious. Stew tastes best when it's left overnight. This looks like it would be really good. And so there'll be none left for Sadako. I'll eat it all and tell you what I think, so just be quiet and watch. What was that? Hand over my portion, too. Oh, they had one of their goofy little fights. And it's cool? It's just cool, I guess? Alright. At close range like this, my advantage is unwavering. Keiichi-san, the daikon in your portion tastes really good. Damn it. Coming right for me from the start and using a combo attack. How humiliating. This little exchange. How long had it been? It looked like they'd ended up going with the wait-and-see approach, but maybe her uncle had realized he'd gone a little too far and would dial it back now. If her treatment improved a little, would that be a good thing? I'm telling you, Sadako is plus our testament. If Sadako lands a sweep, you're dead. That's just how it goes. Sadako was grinning wider than I'd ever seen as she chomped down on her mouthful of daikon she'd plundered from me. Did it really taste that good? Sadako was somewhat cute like that. And just as I'd done many times, I grabbed her head and started petting it. Okay. I haven't given a lot of content warnings before a scene, but I think now is a good time to do one. Content warning for a very harrowing and realistic PTSD reaction. I've thought about this scene a lot, and I've decided, I've thought about whether or not to actually read out Sadako's dialogue here, but I am going to do it. So if that is going to be disturbing, please mute. And if you need to skip this scene, I completely understand, but yeah, this is one of the most emotionally affecting scenes in all of the books, and I feel like it is good to go ahead and, yeah, let people know that it's here. Okay, sounds good. And we'll get this rolling. Catch. Smack. Flip, flop, clatter, clatter. Huh? Sadako-chan? It was so sudden that for a moment I didn't know what had happened. The back of my hand was stinging. I went to pet Sadako's head, and then she hit my hand? What's wrong, Sadako? Sadako was scratching at her head as though a pimple or something had appeared on it and become itchy. It was so sudden and so unprovoked that I didn't understand what was happening. What's wrong, Sadako? At some point, her body had been covered in a thin layer of sweat, and her breathing had turned ragged. When I pet her head, did she not like it? Was that what it meant? Hey, did you dislike being petted? Once again, slowly, I held out the palm of my hand and brought it close to Sadako's head. The instant the palm of my hand touched her head, there was a shock like static electricity, and Sadako began to howl. Oh, bro, I can't do it. I can't do it, y'all. You just gotta read it. I can't do it. Thud, slam. She grabbed my arms in both hands, as if flinging off a snake trying to cling to her, as if trying to throw away something dirty. She threw it violently. It happened too suddenly for me to react. I hit the desk behind me, and both it and I fell to the floor. The classroom fell deathly silent. As Sadako bellowed, it sounded like she was in the throes of death, and she unsteadily backed away. Yeah, I mean, you can't really read that anyway. Noises. Then she threw up the food she'd just eaten. She vomited it all back up. The sound of Sadako's vomit hitting the floor rang through the classroom. Are you okay, Sadako? You seem sick. I reached out a hand, and she swatted it away with all her might, with such extreme strength that I fell onto the floor again. Sadako put both her hands on her head as though protecting it, groaned some more, and took a few steps back. And then she began swinging both hands around. Students in nearby seats were forced to evacuate. She grabbed anything within reach, bento boxes, chairs, threw them, tossed them, and flung them about. Wait, stop it, Sadako! What's wrong with you? She screamed out as if Mion's words had caused her physical pain. No one spoke a word to her. All the students were withdrawing behind us, leaving Sadako alone in the corner of the classroom. Around her, their desks and chairs were all over the floor. Bento lay scattered. It was terrible. All I could hear was Sadako's ragged breaths and the voices of the cicadas. Spade, thank you for the hydrate. We are right in the middle of the most painful scene in probably the whole series. I'm sorry. The strings of tension loosened around Sadako, and maybe she suddenly grew scared of her own actions, because she suddenly started trembling and gave a word of apology. But nobody knew just who that apology was directed towards. So, for now, I decided to answer as everyone's representative. No, it's fine. Are you alright? I, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Lots of I'm sorries. Our words didn't match each other at all. Sadako hugged her shoulders, and back she went. Bang. She ran into the locker with the cleaning supplies in it. Even that made her give a little yelp. The impact caused the bucket atop the locker to fall, making a loud sound, and that scared Sadako most of all. She almost jumped out of her skin, grabbing a bunch of curtain in her hand. Nobody spoke to her. They could only look, not even remembering to blink. I'm sorry. Sorry, it wasn't me. Sadako, what on earth? I stood up, took a step away from everyone, and approached Sadako. What happened? I said, I don't know. You're wrong. Please stop. Please forgive me. Just calm down. Sadako, do you know who I am? No more. I hate this. Every time I took a step forward, she grasped the curtains more tightly and cried out. Sadako, it's me. It's Keiichi. Don't you recognize me? I would never, ever hurt you. Come on, calm down. It's all right. I'm your friend. Help, help me. I don't want to be scared. It feels bad. No, I don't. Suddenly, my shoulders were grabbed and I was dragged backwards. It was Rena, the most competent person in the room. Sorry, Keiichi-kun. You get a little farther back. After pulling me back, she ran towards Sadako in my place. It's okay, Sadako-chan. There's nothing to be scared of. Please, don't worry. No, 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 no more. No more, no more of that. Nini, Nini, help me, help me. Nini, help me. As she gripped the curtains and kept calling for Nini, she continued to wail about being forgiven for something and to be saved from something. What is this? Mia gnashed her teeth and groaned, and there were tears falling from her firmly closed eyes. The hell? What is this? Didn't this all come to an end yesterday? Weren't we supposed to go back to our old lives? Mion. Mion! Crash. There was a crazy sound. Rena had taken the cleaning supply locker and kicked it down to the ground. Everyone stood surprised at Rena's unexpected act of brutality. After that, Rena embraced the bawling Sadako from behind and started crying with her, stifled. Rena, what's wrong? Sorry. Ichi-kun, be quiet for a minute. Yeah. What is it now? What happened? What did Sadako tell you? What did you hear? Shut the hell up! I told you to shut your mouth, asshole! Rena's raw, hostile emotion hit me like a brick. It was no more than a howl of momentary emotion for Rena, but it was more than that for me. She had shown me what was behind all that emotion, what was in her heart. Oh, Sadako-chan. No, 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 no more, no more. Forgive us. We couldn't do anything for you. Forgive us. Nini, Nini, Nini. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive us for being unable to do anything. Rena's words made me feel as though the blood vessels in the back of my head were suddenly all turning to ash. My vision grew distant, blurred with gray, and then the world lost its color. I thought we could save Sadako, but though I knew it'd be the sooner the better, I thought there was no time limit for doing that. I never even dreamed that we could be too late. I'd been making a huge mistake. I thought Sadako could be hurt, but never that she'd break. It was such a huge mistake. People, they break. Thinking that they don't is absolutely absurd. We needed to save Sadako. We needed to save her before she broke. That fatal lapse in awareness had brought this on. Whose fault was it? That went without saying. Mine. No, ours. We all took on the duty of saving Sadako, but we were negligent to the point of laziness. In that sense, this was the inevitable result. Even if this didn't happen today, and it happened tomorrow or the day after or next week, we would have just sat around doing nothing until that day. So this was the obvious result. I slumped down to my knees, just as Mion and Rika-chan had done. And I, too, closed my eyes tight and couldn't stop myself from sobbing. What is all the noise about? Wait, what happened? The teacher came, and her face screwed up at the terrible spectacle before her. The instant she realized the teacher was here, Sadako went through another complete change. She wiped her face with the curtains and, like nothing happened, smiled. Hojo-san? What on earth is going on here? I just got into a little squabble with Rena-san is all. We went a little crazy over our lunches, right? Rena didn't nod in reply. But then, since Sadako wished it, she nodded without strength. The rest of the class couldn't keep up with her extreme changes. We all just stared in a daze. It was just a little horseplay. I scared everyone out of their wits. Sadako would probably sweep the whole thing under the rug. For what? Her heart is torn to pieces, so what else? You wanted your new knee to help, didn't you? But unfortunately for you, Satoshi doesn't ever intend on coming back. Yeah, Spade, I am covered in goosebumps. I've seen this before, I'm still covered in goosebumps. It's never that easy. He wouldn't just conveniently show up and save you. So you don't have to wait for him anymore. You can cry, beg for help, and you can run away. And then he screams internally, I guess. We can't do anything, Mion suddenly said. She spoke then, those few words that had tormented me countless times. Those words were a spell, and when I heard them, my whole body suddenly regained its calm. My emotions all slipped away like they'd never been there, like a wave departing. And then, the world's color flipped inside out. Okay, I am gonna add Iris and games. Is this a metaphor? It could be. We got a track going. This sounds like a Final Fantasy battle theme. Hey, this is a metaphor, you know? Sadako had a very disturbing panic attack until the teacher came back into the room, and then immediately acted like nothing happened. Rena was the one who diffused the situation. Rena said, "Shut the hell up, you asshole," to Keiichi, because him talking was causing Sadako to continue to have a panic attack. So that was a thing that happened. And then everyone is sad, and then Mion said, "We can't do anything." And then Keiichi was like, all the words, all the emotion in my body drained away instantly, and then the world's color flipped inside out. So Keiichi's having a moment of some kind. My field of view expanded. My head grew remarkably cold, and I felt like my mind's volume had grown even wider than the classroom we were in. Keiichi might be having one. Keiichi moment. Also, it's so obvious that it's either a red herring or a clue. Sadako was scratching at her head during her panic attack, so, you know, there's that. Like, I have to mention it for the people who missed it. At the time, My soul was doubtlessly no longer in the small, petty vessel above my head, but floating in the air a little bit above it. It was a mysterious feeling of release. I broke free of the cramped confines of my skull and stretched out my roots in all direction as far as I wanted to. It was a strange feeling, and one I'd never felt ever before. An odd sense of exhilaration. My sharpened senses caused me to transcend. My mind was sharper than a knife's edge. I immediately decided that spending the time to let myself be crushed with grief would be an absolute waste. I erased all the garbage information from my brain, expelled all the pointless emotions presenting obstacles to action. Mion, you curse it all you want. Curse our powerlessness as much as you want. Huh? If I could have taken back what had happened by crying about it, I'd have cried all day. But the fact was, this is how things had turned out. I couldn't take back what had happened. The top priority then would be to prevent the situation from worsening further and to sever the chains of misfortune. Until today, I'd been looking at things so narrow-mindedly I could scarce believe it. To save Sadako, the only thing I could do was to save Sadako. That's the only thing I thought about. Oh, thank you for the posture check and the hydrate games. I didn't allow myself to realize the most basic, direct, and certain way of removing the source of Sadako's unhappiness. No, actually, I realized it yesterday. But as for the means, I'd relied on some stupid curse from some dumb deity. I'd never considered carrying the task out myself. I would obliterate Sadako's uncle. There would be plenty of ways to do it. This was a task that held infinite methods. Ironically, the method of saving Sadako required mostly money, but the method of killing that man pretty much took no money at all. I could kill him with the least amount of investment. The least amount of money suited him. It was only the weight of his life. I kept eliminating needless, worthless information from my head, replenishing it with the only knowledge I'd need to achieve my goal. I used every cell in my brain to think about how I'd kill him. The way I killed him didn't matter. I would allow any method from whatever time and whatever country, as long as it ended in a quick and certain death. If I were to have an additional condition, it would be not to get caught. Holy shit. Optional condition, don't get caught. He's like, I'll just kill him. So this is obviously not like a capital G good idea, but like, shoutouts to Keiji. Removing him was an act designed to return the peaceful times we had with Sadako. If I was arrested in exchange for the removal, then we might as well have killed each other. With only him gone, we'd go back to our normal lives. That was my supreme objective. My ultimate goal. Kill him, definitely. But definitely don't leave evidence either. Two alternatives at odds with one another. The condition of not leaving a trace back to me automatically narrowed the number of murder methods. No witnesses was an absolute must. Fortunately, given the right time in Hinamizawa, there would be nobody around. I mentally reconstructed the land around Sadako's house. The number of pedestrians different at different times. The movement algorithms of the neighbors. Would I lure him out or charge at him? What would my weapon be? When and where would I carry this out? Where? It needed to be somewhere I wouldn't leave a trace. When? It needed to be as soon as possible for Sadako's safety without wasting even a millisecond. This is absurd. Completely absurd. When I thought about it this way, it struck me how easy the act of killing was. If I could leave evidence, if I was just going to kill him, then anyone could easily turn into a murderer. But our reason prevented that. It told us doing so would get arrested for sure. In the end, being arrested by the police was the final thing preventing people from committing homicide. That's so true, Kei-chan. Absurd. If you went all the way out into the very middle of the ocean, you wouldn't leave any trace at all. Anyone would drop those that they hated into the depths if they knew that. It was all too easy to simply remove him. I could leave class right now, grab a metal bat or something from the schoolyard, go to his house, and attack him. Estimated time would be 25 minutes. This scene fucks. I'm sorry. I know it's bad. I know it is Keiichi losing it, but we have just been talking about how we want Hojo Tepe dead for like hours, and he's like, I'll do it in a jiffy. I'll do it in 25 seconds. If I wanted us to kill each other, it wouldn't even be minutes. I could easily do it in 1500 seconds. I knew just how much his continued existence depended on me. That's such a raw line. He was nothing. I could expel him from this world within just 1500 seconds after making up my mind. From when I decided what to do, he only had 1500 seconds. Actually, if I ran full speed to his house, that number would go down even further. But he was alive. He was still part of this world at this very moment, having torn Sadako's body and mind to shreds. Why? Because I was letting him live. I was permitting him to live, so he was alive. Rescinded that permission, he would be evacuating this mortal coil within 1500 seconds. You think I'd let you live to breathe even 1500 more seconds of air? I'm taking that permission back, right here, right now. You'd better thank me for letting you live until today. However, I actually need more than 1500 seconds. I'm not just gonna end you. Getting back our old lives is far more important. It's only you I'll be cleanly cutting out of this world. They won't find a culprit. I'll forget that I dirtied my hands on the likes of you as naturally as I brush my teeth before bed. So to do that, I'll make a special exception for you and give you more than 1500 seconds. I'll give you special permission to keep on living as you have until I can construct the perfect plan for your murder. Wait, Keiichi. Can't let that time go to waste. Yeah, I know. I'll kill him quickly. I'll remove him with certainty. I won't misuse any time to think of a plan. Think back. Tomorrow is Wada Nagashi, isn't it? Last year on the night of Wada Nagashi, her aunt died. Her head was busted open by some deviant and her brains splattered everywhere. That's it. He's someone who deserved to be given death on the night of Wada Nagashi. Hey, Oyashira-sama. You call yourself a guardian, but you didn't protect Sadako. Cursing Sadako's family for the damn stuff is your own business, but now you've made Sadako unhappy when she didn't have anything to do with it. I, Maibara Keiichi, hereby denounce you, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, a failure. We don't need you. Go back to the deepest, darkest part of your shrine this year. Besides, if you had just cursed and killed both her aunt and her uncle last year, none of this would have ever happened. This is the rawest shit. The curse this year, it's not on you. I'll be the one deciding. It won't be the three families controlling the serial deaths behind the scenes. No, not some vague people who I can't tell if they're buffoons or not. This time, I'll be the one to deliver divine judgment. So don't get in my way. Just watch. Stay quiet and watch. I'll obliterate him. I'll wipe him off the face of the earth. I will stomp out his very existence. Have y'all ever seen that bit from The Simpsons where Homer goes, "Dear God, just stay out of our way"? That's Keiichi, right? Go away, disappear, and die. I'll tear your heart apart just like you did to Sadako. I'll have your blood as payment. Ugh. Oh, really? Kid is having a fucking copy pasta in his mind. He really is. He just went Super Saiyan 2. Gage-kun, are you alright? Rena, Mion, and Rika-chan were looking after me. Had I fallen to the floor? You surprised us. You suddenly fell down. Were you having a nightmare? You were moaning. Shut it. Quit squeaking at me like that. Bro. Bro. You actually can't say that? The room is like, what the fuck? My friends gave us a start and backed away. What? Rena and the others, they exchanged glances, unsure of what to say, and stood confused for a few moments. Was that your voice, Keiichi-kun? Of course it was. Isn't that what he said in book 1? Oh, I think that is what he said in book 1. Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth. For a second, Keiichi-kun, your eyes were really scary. My eyes? Probably just a trick of the light. Don't waste my time. I'm not mistaken. I've never seen those kind of eyes before. Proxy, I DM'd you something. Can you show it on stream? Let me see here. That's pretty good. Hold on. I will show this on stream. It's important. Meet me at camera 2. Chat. Wait and see. Contact the authorities again. Ask Mion to curse Sadako's uncle next. Beat the fucker to death yourself. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good shit. Keiichi's on some six-head shit right now. I don't know. For me, though, as someone who has read the book Onikakushi-hen, the fact that Rena and Mion are saying that Keiichi's eyes look scary right now is a little worrying to me. I'm not mistaken. I've never seen those kind of eyes before. What were these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately. You are Maibara Keiichi-kun, right? Ooh. What was Rena saying? Who else do I look like except Maibara Keiichi? It's times like this with Keiichi not having a sprite that are like great. Bubblegum Bitch is pretty good. That's a pretty good song to kill. Songs to kill Hojo Teppei to. The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. All she does is kill shit by the Isle Wise is a pretty good one too. Based music taste. Chat. Body by Mother Mother. Yeah, okay. That goes. You received some new tips. Emergency in D23 number 44. See what we got here. Emergency. June 18th, 1983. Abuse issues regarding Hojo Sadako urgent. We propose that Hojo Sadako must be taken into immediate custody based on the items below. 1. Family situation. Life with adoptive father who recently returned to Hinamizawa has already turned disastrous. She is currently subjected to unendurable physical and mental abuse from the father. 2. Child Consultation Center's response. child probation officer was dispatched yesterday on the 17th from the prefecture welfare office because of the 77 case, changed to continued coaching and cautionary action. Unfortunately, the consultation office head does not properly understand the situation. 3. Status of concerned child. Child already seems to be suffering from an outbreak of something close to neurosis or manic depression. If her unstable pubescent mind is negatively stimulated by stress, it will put her development of a healthy body and mind at risk. This cannot be allowed to continue from a humane standpoint. 4. Allegations made to the family court. We proposed, based on the items above, that Hojo Sadako should be immediately taken into protective custody. It should be secured temporarily under Emergency Allegations to the Family Court under Article 28. We request emergency coordination between all related agencies. Oh, who wrote that? I want to know who wrote that. So bad. I don't know who wrote that. Fuck. D23 number 44. I read that as Fujoshi. Fukujisho D23 number 44, 1977. Child name Hojo Sadako. Residence Inami Village, Shishibane. Consultation circumstances. Telephone SOS from child of child abuse. 2. Abuse situation. Child claims she is being physically abused by her adoptive father. 3. Family structure. Marks abusers. Adoptive father, real mother, older brother, child in question. Note, adoptive father and real mother entered the family register in 19XDX. Child is the daughter of the mother's previous husband. 4. Child Consultation Center's response. On the day of the child's telephone consultation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. On that day, the child welfare officer on duty visited the child's house and conducted an interview. The adoptive father sincerely listened to instruction and agreed to take child-raising workshops in the city from now on. As part of the suggested coaching, the center will continue to observe the situation. 5. Other notes. As a result of numerous counseling sessions at the City Education Consultation Office regarding the child, we learned there was a high possibility the cause of the child's excessive distrust towards her adoptive father was the result of a lack of communication. The abuse she claimed hadn't actually taken place. She had made a false report to distance herself from her adoptive father. Below is a note written in pencil by the person on duty at the time. The problem appeared to be more with the daughter. Chief Investigator F of the city's Education Consultation Office said that most of her stories of abuse were likely fabrications. They decided to shift the focus of their coaching to the child. Be cautious not to take everything the child says as truth.